we record here too. Okay, so welcome to a 4 week bootcamp. And as I mentioned, the bootcamp will run for 4 weeks. So, okay, so this is the schedule for the classes. Today we are just going to do some introductions and setup, and then we do UI design, API integrations. So today I'll try to introduce you to Flutter. We'll go over that. If you check here, I sort of put a requirement for the class. So I'm gonna drop this in the Discord so that you can always follow up after the class. I have the base tutorial here. Let me just pin the message that I recorded some time ago. It's going to introduce you to the dots, but we go over that a bit. Excuse me. And then we're going to look at audio streaming, playback. We're going to look at some state management. We're going to look at persistence. So I'm going to take this as slow as possible so that you'll be able to grab it. Like I mentioned, it's targeted towards beginners and intermediate. So even if you have not done Flutter that much and you just know basic Dart programming, you'll be able to catch this class. What is up there? Okay, so let me just close this. At any point, if you can't see my screen, just let me know. Okay, so this is what we are sort of building in this. Hopefully, we'll be able to complete it throughout this 4 weeks. If not, we'll be able to have follow-up videos after the class in our Discord. The goal is to sort of complete this app to a reasonable place, and hopefully we'll be able to publish it on any of the app store. Okay, so what we are building is, it's going to be more robust than this, but you know, all these podcast apps that you have the app and you can, every author has their own page where you see all the list of episodes for each podcast that they have dropped. And then you'll be able to have a little player here so you can play the podcast. So let's say you go into this podcast. This one has a lot of episodes. So you see 1,881. You'll be able to play this podcast and it will show like a mini player here. And then you can look at the full player. And when you minimize your app, it will still continue playing in the background. So we are going to, this is what we are going to look at. The goal is that once we finish building this kind of app, you will have it in your portfolio and hopefully you're able to publish it. It's really good for, if you have this kind of apps in your portfolio, to when you're looking for a job, because usually people, recruiters will always tell you if you have published an app, and this is an app that you could publish that is going to increase your chances. Someone asks, can we watch when class is done? Of course, you can always go back to the videos. We are recording it. Okay. So that's why I chose this app. And we are going to sort of start building it out. So I'm going to teach you all the UI elements, how to create this sort of UI, and you can sort of create anything, and then how to write the logic behind it. So let's start the introduction. So the technology we are using is actually called Flutter. So if you are enrolled for this class, I assume that you know what Flutter is. So Flutter is an app that it's a framework, sorry, to build mobile apps. So you can build mobile apps with Flutter, and it's not only mobile apps. You can build multi-platforms. You can build iOS and Android. You can actually build web apps. So for example, let's go back to our this thing. So this app is actually not responsive for web, but I just want to show you that you can. So I want to run this app in Chrome. You can build for the web. So let's see if it's going to launch. So it's showing launching. So that I'll show you that you can build this for multiple platforms. And you can see the power of Flutter. It's really good. So while that is running, you can build web apps. You can actually build desktop apps. So you can build Windows, you can build Mac, you can build Linux apps. Good. In fact, you can build embedded, you can use Flutter to build embedded apps. So let's say you want have smart device, and you have cars, or smartwatches. You can use Flutter to build that stuff. So let's check on this one. It's taking time to run. Okay. So the person that is talking in front of you is me. If you have not seen me before, you probably see me on Twitter. So this is my name. Oh, don't see my my private messages. So this is me. I'm currently in Canada at the moment. I used to live in the trenches in Nigeria. Yeah, that's a shot to everybody. I used to live in the trenches. Now I live in Canada, and I have a community called Coquitlam, Nigeria. Pretty much not active at the moment, but so I used to train people. Some of you probably are here that have gone through some of our boot camps, which is good. They're usually free, but this is actually the first boot camp that I do that is paid, even though a whole lot of you came to scholarships. Yay. But the scholarships are paid anyways, so good. I work with a company called Jester in Montreal, and I have a good number of experiences. I used to engineering at Dropout, which is a startup. I used to work as a senior Flutter dev at Whoopin. I used to edge development at Verapax, a remote company. And I sort of worked in Sterling Bank for about 3 years, you can see. And I worked for this company in Lagos, Nigeria, when I was still in the trenches. Yes, that's a shot again. And you can see, yeah, so basically, if you look at my experience, so maybe this is not part of it, but if you look at it, so I sort of started building more, apps from December 2016 to 2023. So that gives me some years of experience to teach this class. So hopefully you'll be able to gain one or two things. So that's all about it. I don't have some slide. I want it to flow as natural as possible. Okay. Okay, so if you have any comments, you can always drop them on the in-call messages and I'll be able to grab that. So let's check on our Okay, now this is weird because I have a really fast computer. Oh, you see, you don't hang. Okay, so not stopping. So let me close my VS Code and run this again. And let's run on. Oh, two people want to join. And let's run on Chrome again. So the whole point is to, as I mentioned, it's introductory. So there's no reasons for me to rush this class. We have 2 hours today. We have 2 hours tomorrow. So I want to build up and let's follow. Okay, so I stopped it again and let's, okay, so yeah, bingo. So you can see this is running on Chrome, even though it didn't load all these plenty things. It sort of adapts, but this is not how it's supposed to look on the web. But it sort of works. You can, so the beauty with Flutter is that you can see that the code I wrote is actually for mobile, but we are able to actually run this on the web and it's worked, right? So that's one of the beauty of Flutter. It's multi-platform, you write once and it's we compile to multiple. Okay, so there's an error somewhere. Same feature already. So yeah, so this is one of the problems with and if you check properly, you can see as I click on any, you can see that the URL sort of changed. This is the home. And when I go to browse, the URL changed to browse. So it has good URL routing. And so, and when we talk about navigation, I'm going to talk to you a little more about that. And well, our podcast page sort of works. On full screen, let's see. Oh no, it's too big. But I'll take it. So it wasn't optimized for the web, but it just shows you that it will run. Okay, so that's for the web. I never ran it also for desktop. Remember that it can run on desktop. So desktop, let's run. Building Mac OS application. Let's see. Someone says maybe village people followed them. That's why the thing is hanging. Unfortunately, it used to follow people in the trenches. But I'm not in the trenches. Village people does not follow me. Or maybe it's you people that joined the call that brought the. But I don't think village people uses the internet though. Okay, so you see, no different thing that I've done, and it ran as a Mac OS application. Yeah, but yeah, that's, you can always format it to be adaptable as possible. You can see that there are a couple of errors here. It couldn't load our popular and stuff. Reason is because you need to add permissions to the Mac app for it to be able to run. So, which is, we can always talk about that. Well, so this is just me introducing you to Flutter and how powerful it is. So as a Flutter developer, you will be able to build for mobile, for Android, for iOS, for Mac, for Windows, for Linux. So you can, for web, you can build a whole lot of things. Although I will not advise you to build static pages with Flutter. Maybe Flutter, maybe web apps. Yeah. So that is for Mac. We can also, I can run Android emulator and it will run on Android. Let's sort of try that. There's no reasons to. Let me drag my Android emulator here. Also, if you don't have a cute computer, you cannot do what I'm doing because your computer is gonna cry. Our computer is gonna cry if you want to run emulator and simulator at the same time. So the downside to building as a mobile app developer is that you really need to have a good computer to be able to enjoy mobile development. Unlike web, that you can use all this HP and you're good to go. If you're using all this not strong computer, it's gonna be, your fun is going to be crazy. For example, so this is what I found out. If you actually want to be a mobile developer, at least try to boost up your RAM a bit. For example, this emulator that you are seeing here actually uses like 4 gig of RAM already that I've allocated for it. So imagine you have 8 gig of RAM. You already use 4 gig for this guy. How many gig does it remain for your all other applications? So luckily, I'm using an my computer is Mac M1 Pro, which has really good, and I'm using a 16 gig RAM. So if you can afford it, please go for a really good computer. For starting out, if you don't have a computer, I'm going to use another platform to teach you here. And you can always follow me till when you get a good computer. There's a platform online where you can actually build Flutter apps. Okay, so you can see that it's running on an Android emulator, which is good. You can see that it's formatted for mobile, so it ran one time. And I can run this at the same time. So I've selected my iPhone 14 Pro Max simulator and it will run at the same time. So I'm just showing you beauty of Flutter, which is great. So it's going to run Xcode build, and you can see I'll be able to, so you can test your app side by side and to work. Give it a minute. Why is it? Okay. So yeah, so we have iOS, we have Android. Nah, they look alike. You can say they look the same. Good thing is you can even do some contents that we only show on Android and do some content that we only show on iOS. Flutter has all those things, so you can target a feature for a particular device. You can target web, you can target Mac OS. So if I don't want this to show on Android, for example, I'll be able to target it. Let me go into my code. Please, can you see the code editor properly? Because I am using a really big screen, so it looks good here, but to you, I hope you can see properly. So if I go to the scaffold, okay, so I have tiny player here. And you can see, I can say if platform, so there is a method. So I'm saying that if the platform is Android, only show this tiny player. This tiny player is this thing. So if you can see, you see, it's showing on Android, it's not showing on iOS. Or I can say if the platform is iOS, you can see all the platform that you can target, which really makes sense. You see, if the platform is Android, don't it will show. It will only show on iOS. If I run this on Mac, let's do that. I want to stretch my laptop. How let's run it. Please don't try this at home. Your screen is gonna shout. Your laptop is gonna shout. I hope everyone is following me. If you can comment. Okay, it's here. You can see that the tiny player is not showing. Let me just put it here. So let's say I just say if it's only on macOS, show the tiny player. Hello. You can see it's only showing on macOS. It's not showing on iPhone. It's not showing on Android. So this is the possibility that you have in Flutter. Please let me stop. Okay, stop this. Stop Android. Let's just have this. Let me close this guy. Okay, so we only have macOS doing. Okay, so how do you get started with Flutter? It's simple. Just use this install. And it has instructions for you for any platform. If you have Windows, if you have Mac, if you have Linux, if you have Chrome. So if you're using Windows, the downside to it is that you will only be able to build apps on for Android, for Windows only, and the web only. You will not be able to build iOS app. And for me, you should really be building iOS apps because sorry, Android is shit. Sorry for my strong language. But I'm not a fan of Android. But anyways, that's not. But with Mac, you can build. The only downside with Mac is that you'll not be able to build Windows application. Although your code, if you take your code to maybe a Windows machine and compile, it will work. It's not like your code will not work if you carry that code, unless you are doing some platform specific code. Maybe you're writing, you're touching your iOS folder, stuff like that. So you may not be able to test it. But usually, if you're just building normal stuff, your code will be able to run on most platforms. So if you have, because I have a Mac, but I assume that a lot of you have Windows because you are from Nigeria and Nigerians love pirated software. So you have a Windows that you do not buy the license. Okay, so it's pretty straightforward and you can just download the instruction bundle. Just follow this instruction and everything. You'll be able to, I will not go into details, it will waste our time. But the good thing is, on my channel, I sort of have, if you are in Mac, see, I have set up Flutter on M2 Pro. I bought an M2 Pro to use the work, and I installed Flutter on it. I have another one. If you're on MacBook M1 Pro, this is another video to install it. See, this is another video when I had my M1 previously. They are almost the same installation, but I like, because they are fresh install, I just recorded it and put it on my channel. Apparently, people are looking for this type of video. You can see 12K views. So it's pretty straightforward. Okay, so for these classes, we are going to be using Flute Lab. I assume just make it easier for our base classes. Maybe you're building simple apps. We are going to be using this Flute Lab platform. It's an online Flutter IDE, so you can build a couple of apps there. And I'll show you. So let me drop the link in the description. So you don't need all those much processing power. Something's running all those things. It's just going to use it to teach, and you can always follow me. So let me know. Just go ahead to Float Lab, create an account, and click on Get Started. So you will be able to log into your workspace. So in the last bootcamp, we sort of did this. Was it this? So now when I click on it, I am brought to my ID. You can see that it looks a lot like my Visual Studio Code. Let me see. Even though my editor is on the right, a lot of people put it on the left, but you see, I love the right. It should be right thinking, not left thinking. So it's just like your normal IDE, but I think for your version, you just be able to do just a project also. So you can search your code. It also has source control, has a couple of settings. Grab your builder. You can even generate an APK here. That's the APK to deploy your software. And also you have the installer. You can install all your builds. So if you download this installer, you'll be able to view the app that you are building directly on your phone. I think it only works for Android. Android people. They are discriminating on iOS now, you see. It's just for Android. Sorry, nothing for iOS. We are coming back, iOS people. It's Flutter people, it's Android people that enjoy. They have their own Float Lab installer. Wow, nice one, nice one. You know why? I feel like it's because Android is for third world countries, so it's for trenches. So people, because they know that there are a lot of trenches people, so they did it for it. Okay, so let's so if you want to run the project, there is a play button here, and you can select which platform you want it to run in. in this case, let's try the IS debug. I hope it works. So it's going to build. And then we'll create a brand new project. And then I'll go over Dart programming with you. Although I'm not going to go deep. I've dropped a video. Is it a video? I've dropped on Discord. I've dropped a couple of links where you can learn. So it'll be good to go. Okay, wait. They sent something to my email. I don't want it to go to my email. I guess it's because I selected IS bundle. Let's just use a web emulator, please. Let me check my email. What did they send? In your day-to-day life, you probably won't be using Flutter. Sorry. You'll be using your own IDE like I am doing here. So this is just for, you can write Flutter apps on the go. So I actually can't find anything in my mail. So what did they send? Let's see. Did they go to spam? I can't find it. Anyways, so we are able to run it. So I think we built this shopping list app the last time. It looks so small. How do you expand this device size? Okay. It's big. So what we did then is we built a simple shopping list. The video for this thing is there. So before next week, I expect you to have watched it because I'm going to give you an assignment after this. So like I mentioned, this is a class, so it's not a course that you watch and hurry and then forget everything. So let's say you want to buy paper. How many quantities? Two. The price is $20. And save that. See, and add another item. I want to buy a plum tomato. How many quantity? You want to buy 65. You enter the price, $30. And then once you are done, you check it up your lists and you check it off your list. It doesn't have the ability to delete because in this version, I would just use it to teach them. I told them to add an ability to delete and also to calculate the total amount of and show it somewhere. So this is a functional app that works. So let's go back to our Flutter dashboard. And I want to create a new project. Let's choose a code base, and the project name will be bootcamp. No, let's just call it day one. I want it as simple as possible. We can ignore this. Let's go ahead to create. So this is the day one. And we have a simple Hello World project here. which is good. So we are going to go to detail of how this project is structured later, but I just show you that you can sign up on Fruit Lab and how to navigate the Fruit Lab. Okay, so let me pause here. If you have questions, now is the time to put them in the chat before we continue. 5 minutes. Do you have questions? Is anybody hearing me? Okay. Yeah, someone, you have questions, please let me know. Will the UI be responsive? Um, Responsive, yeah, well, we'll see. If you have time, we can make it responsive. It's just a 4-week class, so we see what we can get to make it responsive. Any other questions? Okay. Please, if you are here in the class, let me know in the chat. Sorry. See that people are not talking. Yeah, for audio, an emulator will play audio. Yeah, I think I've tried that. An emulator has ability to play audio. So let me now assume, let's say IS simulator. Let's look. So some people say sound not working in, but this is a lot dated. Android audio. If it can play video and video audio works, then I think yeah. So I think on Mac you have to set the system preference. Let's look at Android. Android emulator play audio. So these are people that are having issues. Okay, so it can actually play. By default, it should play audio. So if you are now having issues, yeah, I remember the Android emulator has a way you can increase the volume or not. So I think we are good to go. Okay. Okay, someone says the codes are tiny. So that's why I asked you the other time if you can see my code. So I increased it a bit. Also in my IDE, I can see it well. It looks too big to me, but inside here too, I try to make it really big. Yeah, it should work. It should be good now, right? It's not too tiny again. Awesome. Okay, so let's continue now. So just follow the instructions to set up your ID. If you're having issues, good thing we have a Discord where you can always drop your issues there. Good. So like I mentioned, Flutter is a is a framework for building Flutter apps, meaning that it has everything you need to build mobile apps that run on multiple devices, right? But then there is something we call language. That you need to be able to speak the computer's language to let it do what you want to do. And the language behind Flutter framework is actually called Dart, which is D-A-R-T, Dart programming language. It's not T-H-A-T, D-A-R-T, Dart. Okay, so for Dart, I'm just going to do an overview of Dart programming language, and just introduce you to the Dart programming language. So let me look at my notes here, make sure. Still there. And just to, so according to what we have done here, we have just created our first Flutter app, which is an Hello World app. So if you run it, you see that it's going to show you Hello World. Yeah, you have created your first Flutter app if you have not done that before. But that's basic. That's bare minimum. I'm gonna plug this one. Okay. Okay, so it is running, which we have a Hello World. So I'm going to show you around a Flutter project. Then before I move to what Dart is. So if you create a Flutter project, you're going to be having a folder like this. You will see that I'm going to compare it with what I have in my IDE. So you're going to have a folder structure like this. So this, for the project that I ran the other time, it's called Riverport Tests. But for this one, the one app that we created, you can see it has almost the same structure. So if you look here, there is an Android folder. And also in this one, there's an Android folder. And this folder has the folder that powers all, is it like the engine work that makes it possible for you to run that app on Android. If you look at it again, there's an IS folder here. It contains all the engine, let's use the word engine, that allows your Dart code to run on iOS. And then if you look at the lib folder, it comes like this lib. This lib folder is where you will focus most of the time. It is where you will write all your codes, most of the codes. The only reason that you ever come to this iOS app folder and Android folder is where you want to do some platform specific functionalities. Maybe you want to add a third-party library, a third-party plugin. You can enter this Android or iOS. Or maybe you want to enable some permissions, like when you install some apps the first time, they will ask you for permission. You want to upload a photo, they'll ask you allow so app to access your media library. So all those permissions usually, because they are, so you see Android and iOS, they are like operating system. They are operating systems where you will run your Flutter app on. So you need to tell each of these operating systems that you want to give permissions to the, the app to be able to do some actions in it. You understand? So those are times that you really need to enter into Android or iOS. And you can see that we are going to do that in the course of this. For example, we are building a podcast app. You need to tell Android or iOS that you want to use, you want to play audio. You want to allow the phone to play audio, for example. So, or you need some libraries that you we make it work. For example, when we are playing a podcast, you want to be able to put our app, you want to swipe it to be in the background and it will still be playing, because it does not make sense to be the podcast app that when you leave the app, you will not hear audio again, right? Doesn't make sense. It's just like you have Apple Music or Boomplay, which looks like Trench's music player. Boomplay is good for Android people. Let's leave that. You see, when you want to play Apple Music, yes, Apple Music, and you put it on the background, it should still continue to play, right? And it looks like this class is really dull. I don't know. Everybody just quiet. Wow. Have you people have not eaten today?
No, sir, can we be talking?
No. You can just comment. There is an in-call messages.
Okay, no problem, sir. Thank you.
Yeah. So um so that's the whole point of it. So when you swipe out your close your app, put it in background, you still want to hear the um player talk and speak. So that's the only reason why you'll be able to come to Android or iOS. If you look also, there's a folder called Web. I also have it here. So this folder is the same. So you want to do some things. For example, some plugins does not work for the web, or some plugins needs you to modify something the web. So if you look at the web, it has the index.html. You want to put some tags in your header tags, you want to all those things will go in your web folder. So here does not have macOS. Why? Because it's an online ID. It won't be able to target macOS, for example. But I am on Mac, so it makes sense to have macOS. Now I have a power tool. I can run it on Windows. For Windows people, sorry, I don't know macOS. You see why you need to buy Mac? Or should I do Mac giveaway?
Thanks, sir. At the end of the classroom, just do my giveaway, sir.
Oh, okay. Uh, should I do Mac giveaway to you people?
Sir, yes, sir. Just set a target or something, even if it's one.
Okay. As the spirit leads, if I sleep and something tells me to do giveaway. Okay, so let's continue. So now we understand what these folders are for. Now there's one that I've not talked about, which is this test. You're wondering, what's this folder for? Okay, so as you are improving your coding, see, there's a line Linux folder here. So you want to target Linux here, start here. So there's a test folder. So as you improve on your code, you'd want to write tests. So test means that you want to write a code that will test your code. Does it make sense, Abby? You want to write a code that will test your code. But in the grand scheme of things, when you are shipping products, you want to make sure that what you have written works and covers a couple of use cases that you have done. So that's where test comes in. So this test folder is where you will write a test that will test your code. You write a piece of code that will sort of simulate the logic of the app that you have done. So there are different type of tests. You can do your widget test that will test, oh, is a button when I do this, will there be a button? When I do this, will there be this? So we just test. Oh, you people are you people wants to. Okay, let's continue. So you sort of understand the folders now, right? So let's go inside the lib folder. There is a file called main.dart. It comes with every Flutter project that you have done, that you will create. So if you look here, I have my main.dart here. So what is this main.dart? Main.dart is, it's a name. You can call it any other name. But the main thing is that the main thing is that I don't think you can call it any other name, but I've not tested it. But the main thing is that there should be this method called main. So there's this method. So anytime you see a name, you see open, close, we call it a method. We call it a method. A method is like a piece of code that does a particular thing. So we call it a method. So when do you want to run your app, Flutter will look through and look for this main method, because this is the entry point. This is the doorway to your Flutter application. So all your app will run through this main method. So now inside this main method, there is a function that is called run app. Run app takes in a widget. We are going to talk about widgets when we do that. But in the grand scheme of things, after your Flutter looks into your main widget, it will now look at your run app and say, oh, what are you trying to do? You want to run this app? Okay, good. And then it will now look at the app that you want to run. It will now look into this main app. And this main app has all this bunch of shenanigans, which I'm going to explain later. But for now, the entry point of your app is main. And if you want to actually run the app, you call this method run app. Yes, get that. So, this is like a refresher. There's a video I dropped in our Discord. Make sure you actually go through, because I explained this stuff in details. Okay. Now, like I mentioned, the programming language behind the language that Flutter speaks is called Dart, right? It's called Dart, Dart programming language. So people are asking what channel did I drop the video? So there's a 4-week bootcamp channel. So if you are not there, I have to manually add you. So there is this 4-week bootcamp. It has almost everybody there. So if you are not there, so I sort of drop. It's the same video. It's the same video that I put in the description of the class. But if you are not there, maybe at the end of the class, I will take time to add everybody to know people that. Yeah. So let's now break the class up. So luckily, you can actually try it in the browser, and we can actually try. Wait. So there is a platform where you can try it. I think it's Dartpad. Dartpad.dev is an online Flutter IDE where you can, and I mean that IDE where you can try writing that code. I've explained this, so I'm going to just go do a simple overview. And then after I teach a few tricks in this, not tricks, a few things here, then we will now set up our projects for the whole class and for the whole duration. But for now, remember that the agenda of today is to introduce what Flutter is. I hope you are getting it and it's interesting for you. By the way, if you are doing this kind of thing, it's good to have a cold coffee. It's around 30 degrees here. It's always good to have a cold coffee. Maybe it's raining in Nigeria, I don't know, because you people have plenty of rains there. Okay. Let me check my notes. And give me a minute. This is not a big day. So good thing about that is that is actually a language that you already know. Okay, so someone wants me to increase the, oh, so big. It's good now. So that is actually a language that is so easy to know. So, like I mentioned, you can see that this is familiar with what we talked about here. You can see that there is a main, void main here. So it shows that when you want to write any Dart, any Dart app, which Flutter is a Dart app, you have to start it from a void main. Get it now? You have to start it from a void main. So Now I want to introduce you to something called variables. Variables in that. Here, I'm going to create a function called variables playground. Anytime you see a name, it usually starts with small letter. You can see variables playground. This one we're now taking a capital letter. So you have variables playground, and then you see this. I don't know what it is in English. Open, close. This is a bracket, right? I don't know what I forgot what it is, but anytime you see it, just know that this is a function. Some people call it function. Is it parenthesis? Parenthesis. Oh, Jesus.
Parentheses.
Yeah, right, I guess. So anytime you see this, just know that it's a function. From the name function, what does it mean? So usually when I'm learning stuff and I don't understand what it is, because these Uyghur people, these Americans or whatever that built this stuff, they understand English. But I used to be in the trenches. I am not. But in the trenches, our English is, so they usually don't write, they just assume that no. Because what is a method? What is a function? All those plenty things. But if you go and check the English meaning, you will understand that, oh, this makes sense. For example, when I was learning how to code, before I understood what mutable and immutable is, oh my God. So, but the day I look at it, the meaning in the dictionary, then that became clear. Oh, this is what they were talking about. Because what the hell is encapsulation? They are using big grammars for us. But so this is a method. What does it, what does a method mean? So that's why I like to Google it. You see, you can see that it explains it better. A particular form of procedure for accomplishing or approaching something. So if you want to do something, you get it. If you want to do something, if you want to accomplish something, if you want to write a logic for something, you use a method, right? So if you go down, this dictionary means a method implies an orderly logical arrangement. So it means that when you want to write logic, a functionality, right? You get it? A functionality, and you want to write it step by step, you use a method. What does it mean? That means that when you declare a method and you say you want to write a method, it is step by step. So it has hierarchy. Whatever you write in the first line, so the way you want it to happen, you have to write it like that. So the way you want 6 to happen, 7, 6 will happen before 7, 7 will happen before 8, 8 will happen before 9. It has to be step by step because that's how the computer reads it. Okay, so we created a method. So you understand what the method is, all right? You see that when you Google the meaning, you are able to get it, dictionary meaning, right? So always Google the dictionary meaning when you don't understand something. It will make things clearer, like, oh, what? So this is simple. So now we've created a method, but then there is a problem here because we have not um, declared what it is. So I'm going to just call void. So this is a graph, the same thing like this. So you now open and close bracket. See, open and close We call it variables breakground, so it has to be the same. This error will go off now. You see? So now we have declared a method. We have told the computer that we want to create a step-by-step instruction that is in here. So now remember that I said when you want to do anything, that will look at your main function. So now you are telling that, oh, okay, look into my main function, and anything you see inside it, do it step by step. Do 4 before 3, do 4 before 5, do 5 before 6. You understand? Okay, so now what we have told that program is, so this / means that you are commenting this out. So anything within here, the program is going to ignore it because it's just a comment for you to understand what it is. Then it goes to number 3. Oh, there's nothing there. We go ahead. It goes ahead. And then number 4, it looks like, oh, you have a function here, variables breakground. So before it goes to number 5, it will try to do number 4. So when it goes to number 4, it's now going to jump to number 7 and say, okay, let's do whatever you have here. Right? You get it? Right? It's looking simple. Yeah. Okay. So now we will, inside here, let's create. So there's something called types. Let me put the tutorial here. You can go into this. I've dropped this link in the description of the class and also in Discord, so you can go there and look at it. It has all the basic, everything that I've explained here. You can see it there. I just want to refresh your memory. Somebody says I should drop it again. I drop it here. Also here. Luckily, you can always rewatch this video and then the videos I put there. Let me try to increase. So there are things that are called variables in that. So look at it now. Variables are containers used to store value in the program. Is it explanatory? And let's see what it is now. Oh, somebody said I didn't add them to live. Sorry, give me a minute. Do you know the magic of this thing? I'm actually streaming both on Light-All and on Google Meet. So you're using twice the bandwidth. Imagine that you are using MTN to do this kind of thing. Sorry. To use it to brag small. Let me give you my internet speed right now. It's actually even slow, but we should be able to hit 1 MB per second, 1 gig per second. You see? So I use it to brag to you. So it's almost gone, went to 1 gig per second. So it's really good. If you watch the videos that I linked up, you can see that it's not that clear because I was using Trench's internet. I was using 50 Mbps in Abuja then, IPNX also to stream. Imagine 50. Oh God, I've suffered in this life. I never suffer in my life again. Okay, so let's go back to that's by the side. So now think of variables as containers. Anything you want to do in this life, it's in programming, think of everything as containers. Um, so if you open your bank app and you see your balance, which is usually, I don't know why this person, I don't know why this person didn't have a link to the class. Let me just send. Okay, let's come. Okay, so if you check your bank app, let's continue. Sorry. If you check your bank app, which and you see your balance, which is probably 950 naira it is fetching it from somewhere, because anytime you open your app, even if you are believing God in a miracle, for a miracle, if someone did not send you money, it will still be showing 950. I know you have been going to Shiloh and praying for miracle money, but if someone did not send you money, and the bank does not do mistake, bank, they are very stingy. In fact, they will remove from the money, but they cannot mistakenly send you free money. Unless somebody sends you an alert, you will always see 950 naira in your bank app. Maybe tomorrow it might have reduced to 940, 10 naira SMS charges, because you don't receive much SMS because nobody's sending you money anyways. But 950 naira, it is stored somewhere. It is stored. We can look at it that it is stored in a container. Why is this person can't join? So it is stored in some sort of a container. Think of it like it is stored in a container. So anything that you are doing in programming, you are thinking of it as storing it in a container. So that container, we call it variables. You right? They are called variables. So if I want to display somebody's name, I need to store that name into a container first. I will now display the content of that container. So let's say in that, I want to display someone's name. So if you go to, I can say final name equals to, my name is Temi. So before you can display it, you need to store it in a place first. You understand? You need to store it in a place. So the containers usually have types. That's where we call variable types. For example, you have a container to store oranges. Oh no. I don't want people to miss out. But this person can join. He's messaging me because I sent the link to the person and the person is not joining. Okay, sorry, it's a class. This is how your lecturer teaches. Okay, so I'm going to tell you what final means here later, but for now, think of it as having final. But Let me remove the final self. So there's something called types. Types are, you have containers. You have containers. And you say this container is only for fruit. This container is only for cereals. So it doesn't make sense. You know that there's a problem. There will be a problem when you put the cereals inside a container of maybe fruit, for example. It doesn't make sense. It will, everybody will complain. Say, why are you putting it? So that's where we have types. So now, and that's where types come in. There are a couple of types. So you see types. You have string, int, double, num, bool, var. So string is you want to store text value. Int is you want to store integer value. Double want to store, double like decimal now. Number will store both double and integer. And bool is to store logical things like true or false, just that two. True, false, true, false. And var will store anything. As much as possible, try to avoid this guy because as sweet as it is, it can be the cause of your trouble. Okay. So the syntax is really simple. You will just give it. So they say write that program to store your name. This is the question. You're writing, you went to school and your lecturer has given you a test. It's simple. Simple. You simply give it a type. A type, your name is like a string, a text, right? It's a text. So when it is like a text, you store it in a string. So you give it a type. The type is a string. Name, you give it what is the name of the container. I can say full name. You need to tell what the container is because if you just put the container down and you are not labeling it, you have not labeled it that this container is just for oranges, people will go and store rice in there. You imagine that you see a bowl of ice cream. You know how you used to vex. You see bowl of ice cream inside fridge. And for your mind, you want to eat ice cream, you open the ice cream, and what do you find inside? You find okra. You are going to get angry, right? So that's the whole point. So you have to give it a name. And whatever you put there is what you are supposed to, whatever you name it as, is what you're supposed to put there. So here, I'm saying the string of my full name is Temi Ajiboye, right? And then make sure to always finish when you want to tell the computer that you are done, you finish it with a semicolon. You see, this is a semicolon. Finish it with a semicolon. So now we have done that. So let's say you want to print it out. I want to show it. There's a function, there's a method called print that will take in a string value. So you can just put in the name of that container and to show the contents of that container. When you do print full name, we need to be able to see it on the console. So run. I know some of you, this is basic stuff, but don't worry, we will always move the class forward as you go. But this is intro. I'm not going to go too deep in this. So I have the console to be Temi and Jiboye. So you can do this for a whole lot of things. So you can see you're storing the string, you're storing this. But then when it comes to you want to store any type of number, the type has to be num. The type has to be num. But in this case, this will take in both integer and double, but you can say, give it just a type, the exact type, which is double. Okay. So you can go ahead. This person has put a nice video there that you can use to learn. So I'm not going deep into that at the moment. Okay. So the basic things that we are going to be doing has to do around with that programming. So I just introduce you to it. So for now, I'm going to stop the dots class here. So as we build out our program, I will so let's say you want to build a new function, and then I remember that there's a data type that we need to do. I will come back to this dot patch and teach you, and then apply it in our project, so that you will not just get the whole, you'll not just be looking at me saying, you create a function and you don't understand what it is. So I will do it iteratively, because I believe that people learn that way. Okay. So you see how we have done this? Let's apply this that we have done into a real program. So go back to your Flute Lab, and you can see that it has a hello world at the middle. Yeah. Okay. So when let me go into some basic stuff here. So now, when you create a new project, there's something called stateless and stateful widgets. So in Flutter, everything is a widget, sort of. But basically, everything is a widget. A widget is like, okay, so let's go to, what is a widget? I love doing this thing. Because if they give you interview tomorrow, I don't understand what it is, and then you're looking. Oh, sorry. Okay, so this, you see, this is what I don't like. The grammar is too big. For example, we get a central class hierarchy in the Flutter framework. Is a description of the part of a user interface. Widget can be inflated. What's the meaning of inflated? Are you putting maybe you have a ball and the ball, or a balloon and the which manage the underlying render tree? What's a render tree? Oh no. Widget that has no mutable. What's a mutable? What's mutable? Okay, so now let's in basic terms, a widget is actually just a UI component. Just look at it as a UI component. A UI component of Flutter itself. So anything that Flutter does, Flutter needs that widget. So look at it as this text. You have a button, you have anything that renders on your screen, we call them widgets. So you see all these things, they are widgets. So if you want to create a page in Flutter, for example, and when you create this, I'm going to teach you how to create more pages. But when you create a new project, you remember this main app, it will run up, and then it will having this widget, which is called my app. And then my app extends stateless widget. The meaning is that it uses stateless widgets. So a stateless widget is like a UI widget that you can use for a page or for a part of a page. So think of it like that. So in your main app, it's going to return something we call a material app. And the material app is defines the configuration of your whole app. So you want to theme your app, you want to do navigations in your app. Material allows you to do all the configuration there. So you can see that it has title. You can set a theme for it, which by the way will be theming the app as well. And this home widget is like is the widget that will be started when you just launch the new app. So you see this my home page now. This screen that you are looking, you know, when you run the app, it's showing the content of this screen here. So if you want to see what's possible, you can just hover on this widget and you can see some functionalities. For example, that's a navigation key, all this initial route, blah blah. You can even give it a color, and you can give it a local, which is your language. So it has a whole couple of things in there. Okay. For now, remember that we wrote a Dash program to show your name. I just say show your name. And it's showing on the console right here. So let's write a Flutter program. Instead of a program, it's going to be app. I will show my name. So how do I do that? You know that we store this in a variable called full name. Let's do that. Now, if you go to a widget, this is the root widget. A root widget usually has material app. It returns a material app. But in normal widgets, we return another widget or a scaffold. So if you are thinking of like a page, like this page, it will have an app bar, it will have things inside it. It usually will return a scaffold. We call it a scaffold. Think of scaffold as, yeah, where is that? Think of scaffold as a page like this. So a scaffold is like a page. It will have app bar. So like your app, look at most of your app. Let's look at apps that you know. If you look at it, hey, which app does you know? I'm looking for it. Let's go to, okay, let's use this one. This is an app. You see this header here, we can call it an app bar. So this whole screen of your app to the bottom, it's they have created, let's in the terms of Flutter, we have created a scaffold for it. So let's look at maybe here. You see all this whole screen is like a scaffold. So each one of this screen, we usually call them widgets, a widget inside a widget. That's why people think that everything in Flutter is a widget. So in this case, you can have an app bar, which is another widget that you can use. That you can use to configure. So let's go back to our project, and here they have an app bar. So in this an bar has its own configuration that you can add things into. So for example, you can see that inside it, just make sure you hover your mouse on it, you'll be able to see the details of it. And when you hover on it, you can see that here it has a title, it has actions, it has a couple of things. For now, what we have is a title. And in this title, you can add anything inside it. Okay, so now for our assignment, we want to show my name inside here. But remember, you have to, according to what we have done here, we stored it in one place, right? So I'm going to do store it above before the return scaffold. So I will now say string full name equals to me and Jiboye. I close it. Remember to put this closing. When you don't close it, it's going to complain. You see this red? It's going to even tell you that it needs it. So now I have full name. What do I want to do? Inside this text is a widget. I can, in this string, because anything you see that has, you can even do your own like this. It will work. Anything that has this, anything inside the quotation is a string. So this one is a string. I can remove this one and then put my full name there. And once I save, you see my name here. You see my name here, right? So we have been able to apply our variables knowledge into this class. Any questions? I have 5 minutes. So what questions do you have? Give it to me. Let me answer you.
Okay, should we type the question in the chat box?
Yeah, you can. Okay, for now you can use your mic, and I'll try to answer.
Okay, my own question is not basically regarding what you have been saying since. So, but it's about Flutter as well. So it's all about REST API. So I want to know if we are going to build that one very well here. So that's what I want to ask.
I want to know if we are going to.
If we are going to integrate API very well, this bootcamp. So that's what I want to ask.
Yeah, so we'll use an API to. That's where we are going to fetch.
And okay, and this app does not require user authentication, maybe sign in or login.
No. I'm not doing user authentication. The app just as I demoed to you, we fetch list of podcasts people can play. I don't think you need user if you are going to add user authentication to this kind of apps, maybe you want them to personalize things. But for now, you just want to. You can always improve yours in future.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you.
For people in Lightroom, sorry, you don't have access to mic, so you can always type. Yeah. Who's next? Yeah, Miyoko.
I don't know if I missed it, but I don't know if you talked about the final. You said you talked about final.
Final. Oh, okay. Yeah. Let's after these questions, then we'll look at difference between final and const.
All right.
Okay. So, any more questions? Couldn't connect you to the video call. I don't know why. Okay. Yeah, I know. I know. Do you want? I have a question.
Okay, yes, I have a question. Good evening, everyone.
Yeah.
Okay, I know it's not really related to what you just thought of, but then I've been curious about this for a while. So when you're building a Flutter app, why is it a must for you to, import const when you're building, and why is it a must, and what does it do?
Import what?
Const,
Okay, use
like
const.
inside the widget, it's
Okay, yeah. Why did everybody ask this question? Final const. All this. I don't even want people are looking for the difference between final and const. Okay, so let me explain. So we are going to use we are going to look at the difference between, you remember the first time I wrote final here. So let's say we want to look at the difference between var final and const. We will see it now. When should you use it? So we could write a small, maybe program that will, give me a minute. I think I have it in my, because I know people will use it to, we use it to, we ask questions. So let me remove this guy and write a couple of things. So we have final int immutable integer equals 5. You will see when you should use it. Final double immutable double is 0.015, and final interpolated integer. Let me give you final interpolated double 728, and then const a fully filled variable equals to true. So if you are looking at my variable names, it should be animal equals to that. You already be seeing. Okay, so you see this final and const. Final and const. Let's remove var from the equation because I feel it's another thing. But final and const decides whether a variable is mutable or not. So you have const, you have var, final, const, var. These three things determines whether something is mutable or not. I know you are confused about what's the meaning of mutable. Let me search it for you. Oh. Mutable meaning liable to change, something that can change, right? So you know the meaning of mutable now. You see, it's good to always look for dictionary meaning. So anytime you hear mutable, it can mutate. It can become a vampire. can do anything. You can mutate. It can change. Immutable is the opposite of this, meaning that it cannot change. You understand? So the difference between so let's go back here. Where is it? So for final, it means that finals, it means that it can only be assigned once. Once it is assigned, you cannot assign it again for final, you see. You have already assigned it. Let's check. Can I assign it again? Immutable, right? Immutable integer equal to 6. It's complaining. Can you see? Final variable can only be set once because I've already put equals to here. I've already assigned it. But let's say I've not assigned it. What will it do? You see, it's not complaining again, right? Because I've not assigned it here. I've only just declared it. Cannot be. It can only be assigned once. Once you assign it, you cannot change it. Cannot change it. So for a const is just const is pretty just straightforward. They are compile time, meaning that they are used for variables that you know that they are constant. They can never change. For example, you want to calculate the circumference of a circle. You know pi. Pi is a constant anywhere in the whole world. So you basically just used a const. A const is something that you know that in the beginning it can never change. So that's why they say consts are fully immutable. Consts are fully immutable. And let's look at it in the context of a Flutter program. So let me see if I can open a new app here. Okay, no, let me just use this our podcast app. So here in this library, I'm going to give it the boot one start. So I'm going to create a widget called boot1 stateful widget. Let me convert it to a stateful widget. A stateful widget means that you can change. It's immutable. You can change the state. You can change something on the screen. It can react to changes on the screen. So if you look at the app, you can see that it's still showing this. But I want it to show the content of boot1. So we now have to go back to I shouldn't have used this project, sorry. It will be confusing to you. Let's create a new project from scratch. Quickly, you have 10 minutes. New project, application empty. Select a folder, and we can call it bootcamp 1. So it's creating it for us. It created the project, and I can run it sharp. See why you need a good computer? Sharp, sharp. So it's running, and it should be able to run chop, 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 chop. Whew. Oh no. This thing not from my hand. I wanted to use to brag that we open in 2 seconds. What? 22 seconds. It's a failure. You're a failure. I use 0 seconds to beat. Okay, so, but is it better than your own that use 15 minutes? Okay, so let's create a new file, bootcamp1. And inside here, we are going to extend a stateful widget. I'm going to call it bootcamp1. So you can see that this one is showing hello world. So let's go to our main.dat file. We have the main app here. The main app extends a stateful widget. It returns a material app that I mentioned to you. But in the home, it has its own scaffold, which is a widget. But let's remove it here and link our bootcamp1. You just need to enter the name of this class here. Bootcamp1. It has to be the same name. You see, it gives us this blank screen because we are returning a placeholder. A placeholder looks like this. But instead, let's return a scaffold which is empty. So inside this scaffold, we have bootcamp1. Yes. So what we want to do is that, we are talking about final and const. So at the top here, before the build method, I want to do const my name. So the const will be a string. My name equals to, you can't, only static fields. Yeah, you can't even do a const here. But, let's give it a final inside. So what it's saying is that you can't declare a constant for variables that are not static. It just means that in compile time, it's static, it can't change. So that is for this one for you. So now let's put this one. My name here. So inside here, let's create a button. So I'm going to wrap this in a column, and there's a Flutter widget that has something we call elevated button. Inside the child, I'm going to when we go through Flutter widgets, you will see, you will understand how all these things work. Okay, so now I have button here that if I click the button, I want this bootcamp1 to change to my name. Remember, we have declared the name to be bootcamp1 here. So I now say set state. When you do a set state, this is the function that allows you to change variables inside your stateful widget. It only works for stateful widgets, right? Now, when I do this, it cannot even allow me to run it because it already tells me that it's final. I've already set it here. I can't set it again. You get? But let's say I've not set it. That's why it's not fully mutable. I've not set it. So if you have not set it, it's going to say, because you have not set it, you need to tell it that it will be late, that you want to set it later. You understand? So when I do like this, it still works, but when I click on change name, see it's even giving you error. Let me reload this. Field name has not been initialized. Yeah, the error is from here. Yes. Yeah, it wants you to even initialize the name. Oh my God. You see, field name has not been initialized. It just can't allow you. So what I'm going to do is that in the init state, there's a method called init state for stateful widgets. I'm going to just set the name here. So let's remove this guy. And let's run it again. Yeah, so what I've done is that when the page is loaded, it will quickly set this final variable to this one. So as it quickly does that, I can also change it somewhere else. You can see that it's not fully immutable. You can still change it. But as long as you have not set it, you do not set it initially, you can always change it immutable. But once you have set it here, oh, sorry. So now let's change the name. You see, it's even telling you that it's been initialized. Sorry, you can't change it again. So that is why final variable, once you set it once, you cannot set it again. Which is why we now use a var. People use maybe like a var. For example, I can say this is going to be late. I want to set the name later, and I just put it. I do not declare it as final. It just uses like a var that is going to change later. And when I reload, bootcamp 1 change name to, let me, here, I'm just going to say Temi Ajiboye. So change name, you can see that it changes my name. Because it's a variable here, you only just tell it. In fact, you don't even need to set this one here. I can remove the init state. I can remove this late. I can just put it here. Camp 1. You can see, and then I can change the name. You see? Change it later. So you can see the difference between var final const. So for var, when you just give it a name, it will assume that it's a var, and you can always change it. When you are doing your state management, you usually use immutable classes, but or seed classes, but we will get there. So for final, you are just declaring it only once. It can only be assigned one time. So you see where the final will make sense. So you have declared a final here, and you don't want to set it anywhere else. You only want to set it once. Then you can now say that I don't have the value. That's why we use late. You say that I don't have the value of this, but I only want to set it once. So when I have the value, set it. That's why I use the init state at that point. And when the UI loads, then you set the value. Okay, so that is the end. It's just coming. Okay, so that is the end of today's class. And using the same link at the same time, make sure to catch me. And we'll go to the part 2 of this week. So someone is asking, in what real life example can we use mutable and immutable? For example, if you have a banking app and you have this page that shows, let's say, I usually like to use banking app because anything that has money, people used to listen very well. So let's say in this stage, I want to launch this page and it has your balance, which is now another 15 naira. But when I want to load this page, I don't know the amount yet. So I can just set amount here and then say final. But I don't want it to change somewhere else. So I just say final my balance and I don't set it yet. In this state, I just wait till I get the value and then set it. And nobody else, you can't change it anywhere else unless where you initialize it from. There are, as we go, you will see that how we can do mutable and immutable states. Okay, before I go, I want to make sure that I've enrolled everybody in the Discord. If you don't have the Discord invite link, let me give it to you now so that you can always ask your questions after the class on Discord. Let's see. I don't know every other person that is from this class, but I will try to add you. So I stopped that. So there's Ajiboy, Deepo, Adele. So let me add that. And there's Abib, who else is joining? So you will have access to this for a bootcamp. Else? Adele, Rezi, Philios, Samjo. Okay. If you are not yet in this private channel, let me know before we call it. So this video will be available to you. I will drop in this Discord channel after, so that you'll be able to look through the class today. I dropped a couple of video tutorials, so make sure you watch it before tomorrow's class. Then after tomorrow's class, I'm going to give you a simple application to build so that we now review it. And if you have questions, always drop it in this channel. Everybody can help each other. It's a community. We are about 16, how much? About 22 now. One way to grow faster as a developer is always to ask questions and also to try to solve people's questions. That way you'll be able to grow faster as a developer. Okay, so I hope you enjoyed today's class. I will see you the same time tomorrow.
Thank you, sir.
Okay, someone wants to mention something. Abib, you have something to say? I have to go as soon as possible. Let me stop the recording so I don't. Moe is just joining. Wow, let's come on. Manage recording, stop recording, stop.